The UN's food agency is having trouble getting desperately needed supplies to 1 million hungry people in war-ravaged Syria. The World Food Program is now helping to feed 1.5 million people inside the country. Most of them are internally displaced. However, the agency says it is unable to reach 1 million more in the hardest hit areas. The UN now says 4 million Syrians are in need of urgent humanitarian aid. The CBC's Melissa Kent joins us now from UN headquarters in New York with more on this story. So, Melissa, why is it so hard for the food program to reach these people?
Well, there are many reasons, as you can imagine. One of the biggest, the safety and security of staff. On-the-ground convoys are being attacked, and the World Food Program has had to pull its staff from several cities, including Homs, Aleppo, which have seen some of the heaviest fighting since this conflict began almost 2 years ago. There's a bread crisis, long lineups outside of bakeries, which haven't been destroyed by the fighting so far. There's a fuel shortage, which is compounding the problem. And one of the biggest is that the main partner on the ground, the Syrian Arab Red Crescent, has just reached its limit. Here is Martin Azurki, the UN spokesperson, speaking earlier today.
The World Food Program says it's unable to further increase assistance because of the lack of implementing partners on the ground and challenges reaching some of the country's areas. Insecurity and fuel shortages are also complicating factors. The World Food Program says it's recently received approval from the Syrian government to import fuel for its operations in Syria.
So, some good news, but in the meantime, the number of internally displaced Syrians just continues and continues to rise. The latest estimates are more than 2 million people. Outside Syria, the number of refugees continues to grow. As of Saturday, the number of registered refugees, I say registered because there are tens of thousands more who haven't registered, but the number of registered refugees has surpassed 500,000. Almost half of them are children under the age of 11. The winter, of course, is adding to the misery. There's been flooding, winds, tents blown over. It's affecting distribution. And reports today, for example, out of Jordan, that 7 aid workers distributing bread were attacked by frustrated refugees with sticks and stones and were injured, and that Jordan has had to send in local police. And it's expected to get worse. The National Weather Service is now forecasting a snowstorm for all of these regions, these countries that have taken in refugees: Turkey, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, forecasting a snowstorm tomorrow, so which will only compound the problem, doubtlessly.
Yeah, insult to injury. What are diplomats doing to help out in this situation?
Well, as you know, the Security Council is hopelessly deadlocked on Syria. There will be no movement here as far as that's concerned. The international mediator, however, Lakhdar Brahimi, is continuing his efforts. On Sunday, he met with leaders of the opposition. Yesterday, he met with the foreign minister of Qatar and the prime minister. Today, he's meeting with the Iranian foreign minister, obviously in an attempt to get these countries in the region to use their influence to try to put an end to the conflict, which the latest UN-sponsored report estimates has killed 60,000 people so far. As well, later this month, Kuwait is hosting an international donors meeting, hopefully to try to get money to help out people, the internally displaced, the people in Syria and the refugees outside of Syria. The UN is asking for $1.5 billion US. And that's only for the first 6 months of 2013. And they're hoping that this donors conference will help them reach that goal.
Melissa, thank you. That's Melissa Kent at the United Nations.